Just drink. I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Film on Tap, where we've got the tap that never runs out. As always, I am joined by my co-hosts Nancy and Andres. And before we jump into our pretty jam-packed show today, pretty fun topics to talk about today, how are you guys? Nancy, Andres, you getting amped for Christmas, or are you still stressed with all the presents that you probably have to buy?
Both. Well, okay, here's the problem is I do my shopping on Black Friday every year. And so now I have like 20 boxes of Amazon shit. And like, I got to go through all of this. It's just sitting there in a pile. Yeah.
No, the same thing too. I just right before we started the episode, I realized I had not cleared all the boxes for all the Christmas gifts. And that, like, they were literally all just like,
dude,
crunched over here
I fear for
right
the recycle men.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God. They're probably going to every house. They're like, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
You got a fort with those boxes.
It's like, by the beard of Zeus, how many packages did you order?
Are you guys done with your Christmas shopping?
I have to do it this weekend. So that's gonna be fun.
I think I just finished my last two. I have to double check that for sure. But yeah, last weekend, I got motivated because I finally got paid for the first time in 6 months. And I was like, oh my God.
He's like, I forgot what a check looks like.
Yeah. Hashtag humble brag.
No, it's so strange because now all of a sudden I'm like, I can just go get a coffee if I want now.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah. All right, I gotta do my Starbucks roll that everyone does. Hold on.
That everyone knows? Who?
There you go.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You don't think people do that? When they gotta like mix their drink, they're like,
no, I know people do it, but like, I thought you meant like that everyone knows that you do that. I was like, since fucking
no. It's like, I feel like
you trying to gaslight me, Nancy? You trying
to our favorite word around here, being gaslit.
Yeah.
Gaslight.
Yeah.
And what do the viewers or listeners know? It's like we're doing like a Secret Santa amongst our friend group, including the two of you and a few buddies of ours. And mine is on the process of being shipped to the person who's Santa.
Okay. That's what I was going to say.
No. And for
Santa. You're Santa.
Yeah, I messed it up in my head. It's fine.
Yeah. And for clarification, has anybody gotten theirs yet?
I have.
Well, that's what I was saying. I hope you guys shipped yours already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say mine was spoiled for me of who sent it. So.
Really?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Who spoiled that?
Amazon.
Wait.
Really?
I literally got an email saying your package from this person has arrived.
Oh no.
God damn it.
Yeah.
See,
so I know who sent it, but
I don't think I get the email alerts. Maybe that's like shit. Well, all right. Well, next year we know.
Well,
turn off your email alerts.
Yeah, I guess. But
yeah.
Still, I'm still excited for our Secret Santa. That should be fun. I'm
definitely stoked as well too. I mean, especially with the fact that I actually got because I've been getting so many things from Black Friday as well. Still, that at one point I opened up one of the pieces of mail and I was like, this doesn't seem like something I ordered. And then I literally checked my my Elfer wish list and I was like, I think this might be it. I got a little tiny glimpse of it, but that's about it.
Because you guys no one follows the rules that I put in place so that these things don't happen.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't I feel like I did it right from the shipping, but who knows? It'll probably get spoiled.
Everyone just knows who has.
Like I literally checked it. I was like, the only thing I could change is like I marked it as a gift, and then where it says like from whatever for the gift note, I changed it from my name to Secret Santa, and then that was it. So we'll see.
Yeah, like
I don't know if I changed mine to a gift.
It'll probably still say who it's from. So it's whatever.
It's all ruined.
Freaking Amazon.
Honestly, I think what we should do, it's like if we see a package from like just come in, just like don't even look at who it's from, even if it's just from Amazon. Just be like, I'm not gonna put the blinders on. But anyway, enough about Secret Santa. Let's talk about murder. Let's talk about murder.
We have a show to do.
Yeah. Psycho. Going to be a remake / reimagining of it.
Oh, reimagining.
Could we get a do-over on that? You stuttered a little bit right there.
He can stutter?
What the fuck are you talking? You trying to?
What are you talking about?
No. The video stuttered. Like it was like, let's talk about I was like,
are you giving me directorial notes?
It did it for me.
Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah, no,
strange.
it's fine.
Yeah, because you popped up completely normal, Nancy. Like,
wow, way to
freeze.
halt the momentum of the show.
No, I mean, his video didn't stall that much on my end.
That's weird.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, anyway. So apparently,
do you see how like defense mode? I was like, "What do you mean he stuttered?" Like,
I know. I was like, we stutter all the time. We do this shit live. Anyway, so getting back to what I was stuttering about. Well, we're talking about American Psycho. There's going to be a remake / reimagining from Luca Guadagnino, and it's going to be starring Austin Butler. Officially, he is on board for the project to be playing Patrick Bateman. What do we think about this piece of news, guys? Do we like the casting? Do we like the fact that this movie is happening? Let's talk about it. Nancy, what do you think about this one?
Ooh, first of all, what a name for that director. That's very Italian.
Yes.
Can we also acknowledge that Tom pronounced it correctly as well?
Yeah.
I've been like seeing it all over the place, mispronounced for so long.
Yeah,
I don't know.
beautiful.
I mean, it did sound pretty good as I said it, I will say.
Yeah. Very beautiful.
Did that make up for my stuttering, you fuck?
Much.
All right, perfect.
You did.
Perfect.
Okay, I have to walk you through my thoughts when you told me about this. So, I don't keep up with movie news as much. So I found out about this when you guys put it in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought was, we don't need this. Fucking Austin Butler. This is stupid. And then I was like, well, he actually,
I'm thinking about it.
I was like, he actually does kind of look like Anthony Perkins. And I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, wait, no, not Psycho, American Psycho. That's the one he's
Now
doing.
you get the wrong movie. Love it.
And then I went back to, no, we don't need this. That's fine. No, I don't think we need this. It's such a great movie. And I don't know if I'm at the age where they're starting to remake all the movies that I loved. And that's why I'm so bitter about it. But I just feel like leave it alone. We don't need it. As much as Austin Butler is such a great actor, I'm sure he will do great in it. But I just don't. No, thank you. We're fine.
So no thanks from Nancy. How about you, Andre?
For me, first off, I immediately was in the same corner of like, do we really need a remake of American Psycho? Because I think the Christian Bale version is about as perfect of an adaptation as you could get of that story in terms of putting you in the psychosis of someone as crazed as Patrick Bateman was, while it also being a commentary on yuppie culture from the 80s and such. And then I saw who was directing, and just in case if you guys don't know what also Luca has directed as well, this year he directed Challengers, he directed Queer, he also directed arguably a movie that people were ready to throw him on the train rails for even touching this remake of Suspiria, and God damn it, he did it. He made a fantastic remake of Suspiria. And now just seeing the type of filmmaker that he is and seeing what type of things he's willing to go in and how daring he is with certain things, I'm really, really stoked for this movie. And then also the casting of Austin Butler just makes me just further complements the fact that this is going to be something that's a little different. And if anybody who has seen Doom Part 2 knows, Austin Butler can play a psychopath. Yeah, absolutely.
I was literally going to mention that.
Yeah. So I'm actually, I went from being very apathetic about this to thinking about it even further and knowing that Luca is such a great director that I'm like, you know what? I'm willing to roll the dice on this one.
Challengers.
Challengers ruled, but the thing is as much as I love American Psycho, like it's genuinely one of my favorite movies of all time. I feel like I've watched it about 1,000 times, and it's honestly, in my opinion, one of like the best dark comedies ever made. But so like when I heard that they were remaking this, I was like, calm the fuck off. And then I read the next line, Luca Guadagnino. I was like, so I was like, calm the fuck. Like I was like, okay, all right, Luca Guadagnino. I was like, I love him as a director, and I was like, I feel like he'll do something different with it. It's hard to recapture the magic of that original movie, and I feel like he's gonna make it probably a little bit more serious, maybe a little bit darker. And I feel like Austin Butler, like that's solid casting too. Cause like Andres just said, like Dune 2, he can play dark. He can play like a psychotic person. And he also can be very like charming and charismatic. So like, I feel like he can be a good Patrick Bateman, especially in a Guadagnino movie. Like, let's go. I'm just very interested to see what he would do with this material and like how he would do it differently, if he would make it more serious than comedic, or maybe try to find a balance between the two. But I'm more interested, like I'm more intrigued more than anything, how this is going to turn out. So I'm like cautiously optimistic, but again, I'm very protective over that original movie because I don't really think it needed to be touched. But you know, if it's going to be remade by someone, it's not terrible having Guadagnino doing it. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, I think also you're going to have to. I feel like you're going to have to make it super, super different because like Andres was saying, I feel like it's what Madam Web was trying to do in the sense of like show you a timestamp of like, this is the time and era that we're in culturally as well. So it's, yeah, I feel like it's difficult to capture that vibe, so to speak. So we'll see.
If anything, I think Luca is probably going to go with his own style and maybe modernize it to today, which, I mean, you could theoretically do that. But the other thing that just occurred to me right now is, oh my God, what if they get fucking Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to come in and do the score for American Psycho as well? That would be so
Did they
cool.
do the score for Challengers?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they need to be. They need to be involved. Like the score of that movie was like one of the best parts of that movie. And if anyone could score an American Psycho movie, it's those guys. I can only imagine the vibes they would bring.
Yeah. That would be great.
God, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of vibes, let's talk about 28 Years Later, because it's a real dark dour one, folks. And we have our first glimpse at the highly anticipated sequel that is going to be coming out next year. Danny Boyle's back to direct. Alex Garland is back writing this one. And we've got Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, Ray Fiennes. It's pretty stacked cast. And I just can't believe this movie is actually happening, A. And B, I can't believe we got a trailer as good as this one, because I think this is one of the best teaser trailers that I've seen come out in a while. It's beautifully constructed and so haunting and makes me genuinely stoked for this movie, because I think 28 Days Later is one of the best zombie movies ever made. And I can't wait to see where the story goes next. Let's talk about this one. Are you guys excited for it? You know, let's kick things off with Andres here. I know you love 28 Days Later. It's one of your faves. So are you amped for this one?
Oh, God, yeah. I'm so freaking amped for this movie. I mean, the big thing with 28 Days Later for me is that it was a very formative horror movie for me growing up, because of the fact that we had never seen zombies like this before. And the idea of taking the zombie myth and making one zombie formidable as opposed to a whole horde of them. And then also with the fact is that if you get a scratch or you come into contact with the blood or saliva in any way, shape, or form, you literally have 10 seconds before you're a part of this like ravenous infected bunch. And as anyone who has seen 28 Weeks Later, you know, where they're like, oh, we're on the up and up from this, and it only takes one person getting infected to really spread that all out again and for it to become a pandemic again. But having said that, I was so excited for the idea of this movie ever since 28 Weeks Later back in 2007. And honestly, this trailer, when it came out, it did not disappoint in any capacity whatsoever. It is probably one of the most frightening teaser trailers I've ever seen. And also just one that sets a mood, sets a tone, sets an intensity, and you barely get to see the infected in this whatsoever. And knowing that the passage of time with 28 years has happened, seeing how, you know, with the Ray Fiennes character, how this has affected humanity in a negative light with this giant bone tower, oh my God, it's so exciting. I'm so fucking stoked for this movie. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to be there opening day, and yeah, bring it on. Danny Boyle back, shooting the shit on an iPhone 15. I'm back, guys.
So Andres is mildly excited. Nancy, where do you stand?
So I saw 28 Days a really long time ago, like maybe once. So I don't remember a lot of it, and I haven't seen 28 Weeks. So
What a jarring juxtaposition.
Well, so I was like, okay, I'll have to watch them. They look, I'll have to rewatch the first one and see the second one before I see this. But man, when I saw this trailer, this movie looks so good. And the shot that I'm remembering from the trailer is it's a faraway shot where they're on the hill. And you just see the zombie like twitching all weird and like running all gross. And like, that's the kind of shit that scares me. And like, that's what I want from a zombie movie.
That's the kind of shit I like.
That's that shit I need a movie. But yeah, no, it looks great. And not only does the movie itself look great, this teaser trailer was done so freaking well. We have the creepy chanting music in the background and it's slowly building and building and building. Like, if you want to make a teaser trailer, like, this is how you do it. I feel like we reviewed so many teaser trailers where like, we don't really see much and there's not really much to it. And it's kind of like, meh. It's almost just like, here's the movie. We'll tell you about it later. But this is so good. And Craig was actually telling me that the song in the background, I guess, is about some war that happened in Africa, I want to say. And so when they're talking about the boots, it's like talking about marching in the army and, going to war and just like it never ending. So I think that's such a perfect fit for this trailer. Oh, so good.
There's no discharge in the wall.
It kind of reminds me of like Walking Dead, where you get these little factions of like normal people who are trying to survive, and they have these people over here just like god off the fucking walls and like creepy as hell. And I feel like that song definitely gave you that vibe, and it just set up the movie so well.
Yeah, I genuinely can't wait for this movie. I mean, I feel like people have been theorizing that like zombie we see is actually Cillian Murphy's character from the first movie, and I was like, I fucking hope
like
not.
Pops up.
Yeah, the one that's like at the end. I feel like a lot of people think that's him, and I was like, man, if that's like that's such a bummer. If that's like, if that's him.
But also, if he's not a zombie in this movie, and then people just immediately went, "Oh, that's Cillian Murphy." Like, how does Cillian Murphy feel right now?
That would just be so funny if literally, like at the end of the movie, like we don't see Cillian Murphy, and then the credits, it's just like Cillian Murphy as zombie in field.
Oh my god!
Like it genuinely looks fantastic. Like just like the atmosphere of this teaser is incredible. I like the looks that we get at the cast. It definitely looks very post-apocalyptic. And just having Boyle back, Garland back, it's just like the recipe for success here. And I think they even said that they even shot the sequel to this movie already. So like there's two more. So there's two more coming here, folks. So they've been getting shit done over there. So I'm really, really excited for this one. And I can't wait because 28 Days Later was genuinely one of the creepiest movies I've ever seen, and like one of my favorite zombie movies. I just think it's so well done, and I feel like it was a game changer for sure in that genre where zombies really became terrifying. Like with this movie, it was a whole new breed of zombie, which is really cool. So I can't wait. I can't wait for this movie. Genuinely one of my most anticipated of next year. But it's not one of my most anticipated movies of next year or this year, since I think it comes out next year. Yep.
Or Snow ever
White.
Any year.
Snow White, folks.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. We got our full length trailer here for Snow White coming from Disney. This is the live action remake with I don't even want to fucking talk. But it's with what the fuck's her face? Rachel Zegler. Yeah, it's got Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, and this is our live action retelling of that beloved story. And we got probably our biggest look at the movie yet. We definitely got our biggest look at the dwarves and Jesus. Let's talk about this one, folks. Nancy, what'd you think about this one?
Yeah, this somehow made it worse. Like I was not wanting to see this movie, and this put a stamp on that. Dear Lord, it just looks like a hot mess express. It still looks like she's wearing a Snow White Halloween costume from Target. It does not look good. The dwarves look horrible. And fucking Gal Gadot trying to be funny with her weird ass accent just does not work. Nothing is working in this trailer. So no, thank you. It's another no thank you.
It's another no thanks for Nancy. Mm-hmm. Andres, this is on your most anticipated 2025?
Honestly, guys, this is one of the most horrifying trailers I've ever seen next to 28 Years Later. I mean, just the moment that the dwarves show up and
Nightmare fuel.
Honestly, what was Disney expecting? Like they tried to correct the problem that Peter Dinklage brought up, where it's like, you can't make the dwarves, but then you correct it to a place where it's like, okay, maybe if you turn them into thieves, well, that's not necessarily Snow White anymore, and then the kids don't necessarily respond to it well in the test screenings, and then they go back and they're like, put the dwarves back in, and then it's like
never mind, animated dwarves, do it.
Yeah, and I feel like this is still the worst thing that they could have done, and it starts from so many different decisions right off the bat. I mean, in terms of the casting of what's her name, the queen, Gal Gadot's character. Oh, what's her name again?
The evil queen.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, is it just the evil queen?
I don't think she has a name. I think it's just evil queen.
Yeah, but going from the casting of Gal Gadot as the evil queen, where you're supposed to believe that this person is kind of at the end of their rope in terms of the looks, because mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And then I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me in this universe Rachel Zegler is supposed to be hotter than Gal Gadot? Like, are we kidding right here with all this? Fair. Yeah, there's so many distinct choices in this trailer so far that just makes me go, it just feels like studio interference at every turn. And the problem is that Mark Webb can be a talented director, but when he's working with a studio movie, I mean, like the Amazing Spider-Man films, he very much is one of those people that will just accept a note, even if it doesn't make sense. And then it's just like the movies that he ends up making that are not the indie darlings just become just a hodgepodge of so many different studio ideas, and this just looks like a mess. This looks like an absolute horrible mess. And to clarify, it's not like I'm someone who is rooting for this movie to fail or someone that hates live action Disney movies in general. I think if done really well, we can have great interpretations. But I felt like I had a much more positive experience towards the Little Mermaid's trailer than I did seeing this trailer in particular, because at least with Little Mermaid, I was like, there's an audience for this. Whereas Snow White, I feel like there is not a single audience for this movie. Like, I wouldn't even bring my niece or my nephew to go see this. I would, if I had kids, I would not dare to bring them to this movie unless they were sure, and unless we could afford freaking the therapy that would cost after they see this movie. So it's a no thanks for me, guys.
Yeah, I will say the mirror looked cool.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
That was it.
The mirror was dope. No. Yeah, honestly, my just general, I'm bummed. It's just, this thing was just a bummer to watch. Like, I was watching this trailer and I was like, this is just sad. This is making me sad. That's it. That's it.
As it should.
That's it. Like, nothing about this movie looks good. I didn't even know Mark Webb was directing it. That makes me even sadder. So,
oof.
Yeah. So this is a huge no thanks. Like, I feel like I'm going to end up seeing it just because it'll be fun to review, but.
You'll get the screening.
Yeah. Or maybe something like that. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to this one, folks. But speaking of being bummed, it's time to talk about our main event. And our main event, honestly, I've been looking forward to talking about this movie with you guys for a long time. And I can't wait. And we're going to be talking Kraven the Hunter, folks. So yeah, that's right. The highly anticipated, comic book film starring Aaron Taylor Johnson as the beloved Spider-Man villain, Kraven the Hunter. And we've all seen the movie. We're going to be talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop watching, stop listening. Come on back after you do. Or if you don't care if it gets spoiled for you, just, keep watching, keep listening. It'll be a good time. It'll be a fun time for you. So we're going to be talking about our general thoughts first, and then we're going to be diving into some spoiler territory. So what did we generally think about this movie? Let's start with you, Nancy. Did you love Kraven the Hunter? Did you adore it?
Oh, man. Love is a really strong word.
Love's a strong word.
Yeah. I will say I don't think it's as bad as everyone made it out to be. I was expecting Madam Web-esque movie level of horrible. I was entertained. I think it kept my attention for most part. But other than that, man, this movie was clunky. Oh, it just not good. I feel like we got a lot of characters thrown at us. I didn't know what the hell was happening. There wasn't a lot of like explanation for a lot of things. It says a lot when, to me, one of the better parts was during a flashback when, you know, it wasn't even really focused on the main character as is present day. Yeah, it just, there were a lot of weird acting choices in this as well. It just was, it was a mess. It was a mess. Yeah, so not great.
All right.
That's very weird.
Okay, how about you, Andres?
Oh my goodness. As a huge fan of Kraven the Hunter within the Spider-Man universe and the big fan of comics, there is a world where this character could have worked as a solo character, not having to do anything with Spider-Man whatsoever. You know, the theme of Kraven being addicted to this potion. There's so many things you could tell with that story and so many intriguing things that you can do with that character. However, the movie that we finally got, oh my God, to put it succinctly right now, I mean, just from the mismatched acting and casting, I mean, as much as Aaron Taylor Johnson is putting his all into this movie, he feels miscast as a Kraven the Hunter in his prime. And he's trying his damn hardest. But the script is not doing any favors for him, nor any of these freaking actors whatsoever. You have two Oscar-winning actors in this, and Ariana DeBose and Russell Crowe, and they are god-awful in this movie. And on top of that, the directing is just so bizarre and the pacing is glacial at best. I mean, Kraven's cinematic debut, I mean, like, you can honestly just chalk it up to, it just turned out to be just a completely soulless action movie, kind of devoid of any real enjoyment or cohesion whatsoever. So this is, honestly, as it stands right now, it's my number 2 worst movie of the year.
Wow. Those are some big words right there. So Kraven the Hunter. It was kind of fun to watch. I'll be honest about that. I kind of was laughing. I was laughing a lot. Like, it kind of just became a comedy to me. And once I kind of embraced that, I was having a good time with it, because whenever it tries to actually be like a serious comic book film, it just fails miserably. And it's just a really sloppy movie. It just feels like nothing was flowing right. There's no cohesion here. Everyone seems to be on different pages, especially with the performances. The fact that this movie was directed by J.C. Shandor, a great director who made A Most Violent Year, Margin Call, All Is Lost, like good character-driven movies, and he doesn't, like, where are the good performers? He can't get a single like good performance out of anybody in this movie, and it's crazy. When I thought Russell Crowe was going to be laughably bad, but honestly, he was the best one in the movie. If I'm being honest, I feel like he was the only one who kind of knew what movie he was in. His accent actually wasn't terrible. I thought it was going to be, like, especially compared to, you know, everyone else in the movie. I was like, okay, he's actually like outperforming everybody here. And just the cast is like, Ariana DeBose is terrible in the movie. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson, honestly, this is the worst performance I've seen him give. I don't know, like, some of his line deliveries are genuinely terrible. And also, like, his American accent was slipping like crazy, and it was really weird. And just
okay, thank you. It wasn't just me. I was like, wait, okay, your Russian accent is good.
Like, no, his Russian was great.
I was like, what other accents are you throwing in here?
It's just like, he was definitely miscast in this movie. I thought he was miscast from the jump. I just didn't see him as the character. I think he physically commits to the role, and I appreciate that, and that's great. But he never once felt like Kraven the Hunter to me. I feel like we needed an actor with a little more gravitas, a different kind of look. And I just felt like he just didn't bring that to the character, and it just didn't work for me. But the movie itself, it's just, the action sequences are super forgettable. I don't know why this movie is even rated R, because they don't really do much with the R rating. It just kind of feels forced. Yeah. It just feels like a forced R rating, where like the blood and gore is not fun. It's not creative. And then what? So characters can say like fuck a few times. Like, even when characters curse, it doesn't feel right. It just feels like, okay, we have an R rating, let's use it. It's a bizarre decision to make this one R rated, and it was dumb, but it's just a big dumb movie. I do think it's better than Madam Web, and I think there are shades of a much better movie in here. I actually think the opening scene is actually pretty damn good, and I think that there are some seeds in here that could have, sprouted into something amazing, like his relationship with his brother or his relationship with his dad. If they explored that a little bit better, I think that could have been really interesting, but of course they didn't. And then the movie just is a fucking cartoon. Like, that's what it is. Like, there was literally a part in this movie where there's an action sequence, a car chase sequence that is so laughably bad, where I shit you not, we're Kraven. We're going to go into spoilers now. So, there's literally a part where Kraven, he's like trying to chase down this car where his brother is being kidnapped and transported somewhere, and he's trying to chase down this car, and he literally falls like I don't even know how many stories from a building, like a cat from a couch, and then he just gets up, and I was like, oh, so this movie's a fucking cartoon. Got it. Okay. I was like, what is? It was, and the special effects are so bad. Oh
he's supposed to be animal-like, and sure, like cats always land on their feet, but like you're still a human. Like it
was like a rag doll.
Yeah, you can't toss around, thrown all over the place, and still survive. Like, come on.
And just all the attempts from Aaron Taylor Johnson, like whenever he gets on all fours and he starts crawling around all over the place, it looks so silly in comparison. And then you compare it to something that came out earlier this year, Deadpool and Wolverine, when Wolverine is chasing after freaking Deadpool on his all fours, and then it worked because it was a very short thing and it wasn't used over and over again. Had they done that over and over again, it would have been silly as it is in this movie. And just the sheer incompetence from so many different angles, from not only the VFX but just everything in general about this. I don't know what to start with, but if there is something that indicates exactly how much the audience is rejecting this movie, in my screening, it was a packed audience of a very small theater. It was a packed audience of a very small theater. But the thing is, every single time in my head that I would go, what time is it? Inadvertently, somebody would pull out their phone just to look at the time. And that would happen consistently over and over again. And you know me, I'm a stickler for pulling out your phone during a movie, but for this movie, no one gave a shit. I didn't even give a shit. I was like, oh, it's 9:15. Oh, wait, it's 9:30. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that this movie, it felt like it's already been an hour and it's only been 26 minutes?
It's like when you're stuck at work. Like, I've definitely been working for an hour, right? You're like, it's like, oh, it's been 20 minutes. Never mind.
It's the pacing in this one is so bad. But speaking of bad, the Rhino, dear Lord.
Oh my God.
Like, it makes Paul Giamatti look like fucking.
I was just about to say that.
Craig pointed out it's
what
the
is
guy.
This guy doing?
Yeah, Craig pointed out it's the guy from Jurassic Park 3. And I was like, no, Billy, you were so good at that. What did they do to you?
He's a good actor, and he's giving like a laughably bad performance.
Oh my God, that accent was awful. And then I don't know if you guys remember this. Oh yeah, no, all bad. I don't know if you guys remember this moment in the movie, but there's he's in a room and the guy walks in, like his, I don't know, assistant, I don't know what the fuck he is, walks in and he's standing there like this, and he makes like the weirdest fucking noise where he's like,
I was like, what the fuck is that?
And I turned to Craig and I was like, what the fuck was that? And Craig goes, that was a choice. It sure was. I was like, what the hell? Just weird moments like that. I'm just like, what is happening? None of this makes sense. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah. So many unmotivated choices and so many weird things that, like, it almost just kind of felt like the director, I mean, I'm sorry, but it kind of felt like he said yes to all the wrong impulses on this. And although, you know what, I'm going to break away from the pack on this one and say that I actually dug Madam Web far more than this one, because Madam Web, it's a terrible movie. It's absolutely a terrible movie, but goddamn, was it not so much fun to watch some of these actors not give a shit and know exactly what kind of movie they're in and how cheesy they're playing certain things here and there. There's some enjoyment to be had from that. Whereas this just felt like it was like, let's dial it up to serious and let's take this as seriously as possible, but nothing comes together in a way that flows as a story. I mean, like, the ADR was terribly placed all throughout this movie. Also, did you guys notice the AI lip syncs for some of the ADR?
Nope.
Especially with the grandmother when she's showing all these cards, and then all of a sudden you see her lips, and you're like, they look weird right now. And I'm like, oh shit, they use like CG lips to basically get rid of to get the lip syncs on this. And it kind of feels like Sony took all the wrong notes from Madam Web. I mean, like it's just so strange all throughout this movie. It just feels so, I don't know who this movie was intended for, but certainly not us. But honestly, we need, Avi Arad has produced Borderlands and freaking Madam Web in the same year, and he's also produced this. I think we need to stop him.
Well, apparently they're stopping this universe now, so thank God. And
So
speaking of this universe, the fact that they
it.
kept trying to like build it out, like my favorite part, one of the biggest laughs, consistent laughs I got in this movie is like both, I think it was the Rhino and then Kraven's brother, who they make the chameleon, which was fucking awful.
Oh.
Like that they tried to like.
I mean that's in the continuity, but the way they handled it was terrible.
The way they handled it was terrible. Like the way they showed like how he can like, I was like, it was cool the way they had him like mimic voices and stuff. I was like, that's kind of cool. But then like when they made him like full on chameleon at the end, it was laughably bad. Oh my God. What was I going to say about it though?
You're saying
I lost my train of thought.
His performance, maybe? Because you're talking about the brother. And you said it got the biggest laughs consistently.
Oh, got it. Thank you. Jeez, I thought it was gone. I thought it was over. No, the biggest laugh that I got consistently was when they were trying to build out the universe. It was like the brother and it was Ryan. It's like, yeah, I went to this doctor in New York, and they both said the same thing. It's like little unorthodox. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Come on.
And here's the thing is, knowing when they finally mention what the doctor's name is, Miles Warren, who is in the continuity of Spider-Man a big deal because he freaking is responsible for the Clone War, for the Clone Saga.
The Clone Wars.
Yeah, I always say the Clone Wars.
He's responsible for the Clone Wars. I was like, wow.
Can you imagine? That would be so cool.
That would have been great.
He's not just important in this universe.
But it's a very divisive storyline from the 90s that basically people go, oh, you either love it or you fucking hate it because of how terrible it is. But it's one of those that had they adapted it for the movie universe, you could have had so many different characters pop up from that, and you could have built out more villains. But my God, but just the way it's handled, where it's just off screen and there's no real connection to it whatsoever, and it just feels like everyone's just going back to this guy. It's like, let me get you this guy's number.
I just loved it every time. Little unorthodox. And the way they made the Rhino in this movie was so dumb. He looked awful, and the fact they made it some like skin condition that he has to control with this like IV fluid backpack. I was like, fuck that. Like
he's like the reverse of Bane or something.
But like literally, like the Rhino is one of the most cartoonish villains in the Spider-Man lore, but he's lovably cartoonish. Like he's supposed to have this fucking suit, where it's just like, it's goofy. And I wanted that. And they just like made it this weird skin condition thing. I was like, I hate this. I hate this performance. Like honestly, I feel like it's just a character that doesn't seem to work in live action. It's tough to pull off in live action because just inherently the character is very silly, but this is probably the worst way you could have done it. So
yeah. I mean, I'll be willing to bet you, had Rhino been in the MCU, they probably would have come up with a practical reason why to wear that suit and have fun with it. But like even the Paul Giamatti thing, I mean, like, it's terrible, it's bad, but at the end of the day, it's still.
I prefer watching that one.
I buy that a little more than I do with this, and especially with what's his name, the guy who plays the Rhino. I forget what his name is. What's called Alessandro something, but he was also in Face Off as well too, playing Castor Troy's little brother. And seeing his performance in that, it just felt like he just took that performance, copy and pasted it onto here, added a weird accent on top of that, and it just felt like I just didn't buy him as a villain in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. But also speaking about villains, I completely forgot that Christopher Abbott is in this movie.
Actually, the weird thing is I liked him in this movie. I actually thought like the effects with his character were pretty cool, and I actually thought like he knew what movie he was in. You know,
it wasn't horrible. My issue with it was like he felt like he got kind of thrown in there, and as someone who doesn't know anything about this universe or anything, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, and then it didn't really go any further than like he's just here to help. Okay, bye. So yeah, it just felt so clunky.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he made the best of like a bad situation, but like I actually was like, this character is kind of interesting. At least I was like, I like watching this character. He seems like he's in a different fucking movie, but I like watching him.
And they also changed him as well too from the comic, because in the comic he's not supposed to be someone that just. He's not supposed to be someone that just stops time. He's supposed to be somebody who is an Olympian level athlete who just so happens to be a hunter or just so happens to be a hitman. And to pair that with Kraven, who is getting the assistance of the serum as well too, that would have been something kind of interesting actually to kind of pair the two up. But just the way it's done and just the motivation that they give him is. It's so weird, because here's the thing. I'm not someone that goes, it has to be exactly like the comic, but if you're not going to do the comic, you have to give us something that's a little more grounded, or at least something that makes sense for this movie. But to me, the ability to stop time just doesn't make sense either way. I mean, that just feels far-fetched to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, look, if anything, it makes me look forward to Wolfman even more, because I want to see more of this guy. So there you go. And like, honestly, the only other positive I can think about this, but there was one scene where I was like, oh man, I wish this could have been the movie. Like, this was so well done. There's like a scene where Kraven's taking out a bunch of guys, but the way he's doing it is so like well done. Like where he like my favorite part is like where he's
there's
like
one good shot. There's one good shot of that.
He's like blending in with the guys on the stairs, like walking in pace with them, where they literally have no idea that he's like behind them. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, what a cool way to show his abilities. And that like sequence was fun. I was like, where was this the entire movie? Like, this is so well done. Like, this is great. But of course, you know, it's just an isolated incident of success, I guess.
Yeah, there is that one shot where he's in the dark and you kind of see his eyes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, that was the one shot where I was like, that looks so fucking cool. And that was it. There was nothing else.
But hold on, Andre. So I know you know the comic book stuff, so I don't really know the origin story, say, of Kraven, but is it like this lion thing?
Yeah, where he...
Okay. Because like, I was like, there's no way he got his abilities from like lion blood getting in him.
I will say though, at least like, because in the trailer that's all they showed, so I guess at least there was some like elixir thing that got mixed into this, because
so,
I was like, if he just did it straight from blood,
is it the combo of the two or something?
In this movie, it makes it seem like a combo, but in the comic, it's just the fact that Kraven is just a hunter who is naturally gifted, and the serum not only brings out it makes him more feral and more animalistic, but it also brings out his more apex predator tendencies, if that makes any sense, to the point where he's like, you know, I've literally hunted every single thing, and the last prey on my list right now is a superhuman, and that's Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's one of the best comic book storylines. Kraven's Last Hunt. It's fucking amazing.
God. So and that, I remember reading that when I was 12, and just the amount of shit that happens in that story, where it deals with mental health, it deals with addiction, it deals with the idea of Kraven feeling like he has reached the end of his peak. And that's something that when you're 12 years old and you're reading that comic, it is some pretty heavy material. And then like to see none of that make it into an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Why do we have the R rating for in general at all?
Honestly, if you want a good Kraven story, folks, besides, you know, that comic book run, like the most recent Spider-Man game, I think, did a phenomenal job with Kraven the Hunter. And that's in a game where there's like plenty of villains. Like, it's got a lot of story to juggle, but the way they handled Kraven's story in that game is perfect. I was like, just play the game. You'll get a better Kraven story than this movie, folks. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. And the thing that's so weird too is that Kraven was actually supposed to come out in the same month that game released. And it's like they could have gotten a little bit. Kraven the movie could have gotten a little bit of help from releasing it next to the Spider-Man game, just to kind of be like, listen, if you hated the movie, if you loved this character in the game, at least you'll be able to see him in live action, or vice versa. If you hated his character in the movie, go see him in this game, and it would have been even better. I mean,
yeah, I know. I will say one thing I did like, because I know there's a lot to not like for this movie. But one thing I did like about it, the brother, after seeing him in Gladiator 2 and then going to this, it's like,
that's
okay,
why he
clearly,
looks familiar.
Yeah.
He's the little weenie brother in Gladiator 2.
Syphilis brother.
She's called him syphilis brother. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's the one that has syphilis.
No, I get it.
That's his label now. Syphilis brother.
No, I'm calling him that because he had it.
But I think he does a really good job, and it's clear that that's his niche of doing this like weird weeby little brother, like psychotic kind of character. So I really liked him in that. And again, Russell Crowe I think was pretty good in it. And I love at the beginning how he's like, "Oh, your mother died. We go to nature," and it's like
we
don't talk about your mother.
Yeah,
well, they're all becoming Dracula.
How many times in this movie does Russell Crowe have to say your mother was weak? It was like, oh my god, can we just stop saying that? We get it.
It's like, no funeral for you. Yeah, sorry. I was like, did she though, or did you kill her?
I think the biggest question I had is how did Kraven like remodel that home of his?
Yeah, I was like, that's a beautiful home.
I was like, this is a gorgeous home in the middle of nature. Oh god, that just reminded me of like when he like play wrestles with that animal.
with the snow leopard.
Oh my, that was a laughably bad scene.
Oh, so bad.
It's like, we just meet up every now and again. You know, she's getting big. It's like, wait, what? And then also here's the other thing too, is that the implication that I got in this movie is that he can connect with the animals to a certain extent. Did anyone get that feeling whatsoever?
I didn't mind that. I thought that was kind of interesting. Fine. I was like, I didn't care about that. I just was caring about the fact that like the movie just refuses to have really any fun. Like there's only like one scene where I think like which I enjoyed. I was like, oh, this could have been a fun movie, you know, like where he takes out his knife and he like holds the elevator door open with that guy. I was like, put more of that in it. Little levity, you know, have some fun. This is like a comic book movie. Have a little fun with it, folks. It's just so dreadfully serious.
Yeah, I agree.
You didn't hold the elevator.
I was like, I like that little beat. I was like, that's good. But whatever.
My favorite part of the whole movie, though, I gotta say, was a cameo from Aaron Taylor Johnson's abs. That was the best part of the movie.
It wasn't in the movie nearly as many times, so I
just feel bad because apparently he had to go on such a strict diet and like for like over 2 years and for this movie.
That's his body though. He can, you know, he has that. At least he can keep that, you know?
Yeah. He I mean, they released a little short featurette on just the physical fitness training for Kraven the Hunter. And it's like, man, he understood what this character was and what it needed to be. But God, I mean, the director fumbled the ball. The director fumbled the ball. The writers especially fumbled the ball. I mean, even the studio, to a certain extent, really, really didn't understand what this movie needed to be. And man, and you know what? As miscast as Aaron Taylor Johnson feels for me, there still is a world where he could have done a great job in a better movie.
Yeah, he definitely could have. But hey, he's got Nosferatu for redemption, so we got that.
There you go. But
I thought he was good in Fall Guy.
Oh yeah, he was.
Well, I mean, redemption from this. Yes, he was good in Fall Guy. Yeah,
but that was before.
That was before. This is now. This is now.
But the other thing too. All right, guys, hear me out on this. Did this movie feel like a movie that Tom Ryder from the Fall Guy would have starred in?
Yeah, that's true. a little bit.
Just needed more explosions.
Yeah. I think it's also really annoying that the last shot of the movie is the fucking poster. Like, because when he opened the box, I was like, oh yeah, we haven't seen that little fur jacket that he has. I thought I saw that before. I was like, oh, it's the fucking poster.
I also think it's kind of weird that he would accept wearing that since it's coming from his dad. Yeah. You know, like it felt weird that he would. I feel like he would just thrown that out.
I don't gonna lie. I thought it was gonna be his dad's head because that was like his last hunt or whatever. I was like, oh my god, that'd be so crazy. And I was like, oh, it's fur jacket. Okay, not as fun.
The fur jacket that they keep zooming in on the lion's head all throughout the movie, knowing that was going to be the material that they were going to use that for, and the other assumption that there was going to be another story to tell after this. It's just hilarious, guys. It's just like, oh, you really thought you were going to get another one of these, but
you're right. It doesn't make sense that he would accept it from his dad.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing that bothered me. I was like, yeah, he would have just fucking burned it or just thrown it out. He would not accept that from his dad. He hated his dad.
Yeah, like in the comics at least, or at least from the comics that I've read, he actually wears that as a trophy for like, I've caught the biggest game that there could have been to catch in Africa, and this is considered one of the most dangerous creatures in existence, and I'm wearing him as a coat. Like, that is a very character thing to have for Kraven, but to have it in the way that they do in this, it just feels so off. But, you know, I mean, I've been shitting on this movie for almost 40 minutes by this point now. And I will say probably the one scene that I did like in this movie was the scene when he's a kid, when he's getting mangled by the lion. I thought that was appropriately vicious and that was appropriately brutal.
Yeah.
And then after a little bit, it just became a little funny when all of a sudden Calypso just sees him getting dragged by the lion. He's like, ah, I'm like, I don't know why. It just made me laugh all of a sudden now.
Now, what made me laugh is when he was hit with that dart. His biggest fear was spiders.
Oh, yeah.
Built up in any part of the movie.
I guess because his mom was psychotically seeing spiders, but how would he
I think they just wanted to throw in another visual nod to Spider-Man.
True. That's
I think they did.
Yeah. Just like almost like every other freaking shot in Madam Web was like some sort of web.
Oh, yeah.
Spiders.
Man.
But anyway, what are we going to give this one out of 5 pints, folks? What are we going to give it?
I'm going to give it a 2. It just was a mess. Like Andres, you said, like Madam Web at least was so bad it was entertaining. This was just bad. This was boringly bad. So yeah, 2. You get a 2.
2. All right, Andre.
Yeah, I feel like this is a movie that legitimately just there's almost no fun to be had whatsoever. I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as to say, hey, you know what? Go see the movie and form your own opinion. Like, this movie just feels like the epitome of what bad studio filmmaking is, and just when you mishandle a property every now and again. And this, like I've said before, this movie is my number 2 worst movie of the year. And unless something happens, it's going to stay there for a bit. But honestly, I don't think there's any enjoyment to be had with this movie. I don't think there is really any real redeeming factors in it whatsoever. And honestly, everything from top to bottom just fails consistently. This movie is not fun. And at 2 hours and 7 minutes, this movie drags so much more so than any other movie I've seen this year. Like, I did not feel the runtime on Gladiator or Wicked, but I did feel this runtime drag for nearly 30 minutes off from all those other movies. This movie is so poorly paced. I'm just not a fan of this movie whatsoever. It's a 1. It's a 1.5 pints for me.
Mm-hmm. I think Tom froze, so we're never. Oh, there we go. I was like, we're never going to hear.
1.5 pints. Yep. So I'm gonna go 1.5 as well. Yeah, I'm gonna go 1.5 as well. I'm done. I'm good. Yep, 1.5 pints. That's really all I have to say about Kraven. It's just no good. It's throw it out. It's no good.
Yeah. Or drink 5 pints to forget
that's
about
it. But
this movie.
before we wrap on up though. Yeah, exactly. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, what has been your favorite Sonyverse movie?
Ooh. Can you list them so I remember what they are?
Yeah. So we've got
Venom 1. There's the 3 Venom movies. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I think you're lagging a lot, Tom.
I think there's a little bit of a delay on your end, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
like a 4-second.
There's 3 Venom movies. There's
Oh no.
There's Madam Web, there's Morbius, and Kraven.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I would say for me, Venom 2 is my high point of this entire series, followed by Venom 1, and then you go honestly Morbius. While it's bad, I think it's laughably bad at points. So Morbius is up next, and then it would be Madam Web, and then Kraven would be dead last for me, I think.
Yeah, I think Kraven's definitely dead last. Madam Web.
Okay.
Actually, maybe Morbius than Madam Web. Because at least Madam Web was like, again, entertaining. And then probably Venom 2 was fun. That'd be my number 1. I don't know. What other ones were there? Just Venom? What am I missing? Venom.
I think we missed Venom The Last Dance. We both did.
Oh God.
That can go. That's not number 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Number 4, I guess. Yeah. Something around those lines of like, yeah, definitely. I think Venom 2 is up there.
Yeah, it's right in the middle for me too. But what about you, Tom?
Honestly, I'm not going to really like rank them. I will say the only I think the best one out of the bunch for sure is the first Venom. I feel like that one was the most enjoyable for me, at least. It was like fun. I like the dynamic of Eddie Brock and Venom. And I just kind of felt like the sequel tried too hard to be funny, and I felt like the first one at least felt like a fun buddy movie. So yeah, probably the first Venom was probably the best one for me. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
again,
before we head on out, guys. Yeah. What'd you say?
This delay is killing us.
I know. There's a big delay. That's why. We do our plugs now.
Yeah, you keep stuttering on my end too.
All right. I'll just do your plugs. We'll just go there. Wrap this up.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Galaghost. You can also find me on Blue Sky and Threads as Galaghost. Find me on Letterboxd as Galaghost, where you'll see my my list of all the movies of 2024 ranked as well. So so you can see where Kraven falls in on that against all these other movies. I think I have at least 60 movies I've seen this year as well. But you can also find me on Instagram as Galaghost. You can also find me on the High Voltage Media channel, which we just put out our review of Executive Decision, and that was really cool. And you can also find me on Sell the Score with my wife, and we just competed against Adam Collins and Marisol McKee, Champs on Film.
Your wife has a name.
Yeah,
her name too.
Yeah, my wife Jen.
Give her respect.
My wife Jen Kemp. Yeah, or Jen Gallego. But yeah,
I was like, wait, she's not Kemp anymore.
Yeah, see, like I'm still adjusting to married life. Yeah. Oh my God, guys. I just realized this. It is officially now 3 months since we've gotten married. So this is fantastic.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's where you can find me for now.
All right. I'll do mine next. PL_Band-Aid on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, you can find me here in the comments. Comment. I like those. You can find me on Letterboxd. I think it's PL_Band-Aid. I'll get back to you on that, but I don't do reviews. I just rate the movies, and you can see what I've been watching lately. I did see Wicked.
There you go.
Ooh.
Give it a 3.
Oh, 3. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Chattelbash, Facebook and YouTube, Chattelbash Reviews, and of course, Letterboxd T Chattelbash if you want to catch up with what I've been watching lately. And thank you for tuning into a brand new episode of Film on Tap. We appreciate you listening or watching, and we got plenty more brand new episodes headed your way. So please stay tuned. Keep following us. Leave some comments down below. We love the comments. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you have done so already. And we'll see you next time on Film on Tap, where we've got the tap that never runs out. Take care, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.